There was a recent report from the World Intellectual Property Organization, and that report showed that China filed the highest number of generative AI or Gen AI patents. That's over the past decade, 38,000 in total, as we heard from our reporter there. So, put this in perspective for us. What does this tell us about the progress of this particular type of technology in China?
Well, Anon, I think, of course, it shows the remarkable progress China is making in this breakthrough technological area. And I think if we look at the words of Charlie Munger, who was Warren Buffett's partner and the legendary investor, he said, "Show me the incentives, and I'll show you the results." So I think this is an example of China's ability to do this at scale. A great comparison to this would also be China's development of the electric vehicle and battery market, which started with a conceptual understanding, the development of bureaucratic infrastructure that about 20 years later led to China's unquestioned leadership in this new, also very important technological field. So this explosion of patents, I think, also demonstrates China's ability to link incentives to outcomes at scale.
Andy, this part of the show, I want to talk about another aspect of AI, and that is the political connection to AI. There was a United States professor, Nan Jia. He told the South China Morning Post that AI is the facade of geopolitical tensions. This is not just a technology issue, it is deeply intertwined with politics. What do you make of that statement? What does it mean?
I think that's absolutely correct. Because artificial intelligence, many consider a general purpose technology like electricity, like steam power, that can be used for many different things, including military applications. And some even consider it the root of national power, in that whoever masters AI in its various forms will have a more productive economy, a more advanced society, and a more effective military.
Hmm.
So I think this can't help but be an inherently political issue. The other point I want to make here, too, just very briefly,
Mm.
we were talking about patents. I think this also demonstrates China's respect for intellectual property and the importance, as we've heard from some of the other guests, that intellectual property plays. The other political aspect to this, geopolitical aspect to this, is that China's focus is really on generative AI broadly applied, especially to areas like agriculture and healthcare, which is so important for accessibility in the global south, which I think is another reason why China's approach, whether that's at the UN, whether that's at other multilateral organizations, is gaining so much support from countries all across the global south.
Andy Mock, what are your thoughts on the mechanisms that are needed to regulate AI? I mean, the world's regulators would have to keep up in step with the very fast development of this technology, wouldn't they?
They certainly do, Anon. And I think we see norms, uh, emergent policies coming forth from a lot of the discussions at various levels. But I also want to say that the risks of mistakes, hallucinations from AI might not be as great as they seem, because just like automobiles, we can build cars that are optimized for speed, we can build cars optimized for comfort or for safety. And a lot of the decisions made by the companies that are getting the most media coverage, some of the American companies like OpenAI, et cetera, really are optimized for a kind of a cool factor and not
Yeah.
as much for safety. So I think here, regulation plays an important role, and I think that it can also shift the balance in what is emphasized by the companies that are producing these generative AI products and services.